We are live. Good to see you today, my crypto friends. Welcome to the EOS podcast. We've got a great show here today. We're going to talk about EOS and a cybersecurity app, Uncloak. We've got Teo here, who is a awesome cybersecurity expert and also is an EOS lover. So we're gonna dive in here. So Teo, introduce yourself and then tell me what you think the most interesting thing going on in EOS right now is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my name's Dada. I'm the CEO and founder of Uncloak. We are a cybersecurity company. Our software is designed to help companies, regardless of their size, get access to cybersecurity cover, at a fraction of the price, working on EOS, which is pretty amazing. And obviously we're excited about it ourselves. But no, I'm really excited about what's happening in EOS. I mean, one thing I do love about EOS is the community and the strength of the community itself. And some of the news that I've been keeping my ear to the ground, and something that we're thinking about is definitely looking at the WPS. So the worker proposal system is really quite interesting at the moment. There's two schools of thought. There's obviously the EOS community schools of thought around that, and then obviously Daniel Larimer, who's obviously got his ideas around that as well. But I think this is something which is great for the community. One of the things that we want to use the worker proposal for is really to allow us to help protect or provide that level of cyber protection for the EOS platform. As we know, in the last few months, but I think it was around about May, when there was obviously a potential breach. I'm using inverted commas there, and reason for that is obviously I know that they had some testing on the platform itself in regards to the level of cybersecurity cover for it, and there was found to be a very large bug which could actually leak some EOS tokens. And that was something that's always been of interest to me. We're not necessarily at Uncloak more concerned about the blockchain security itself. I mean, the whole idea of blockchain is meant to be, extremely secure, and obviously we have the network effects, and more people use it, the more secure it becomes. But from a cybersecurity perspective, for us, we want to be in a situation where we can really help the block producers, their infrastructure, to make sure that their nodes are performing the way they need to perform. Because the bigger that this network grows, is the more under scrutiny each block producer is going to be. You're going to have a lot of different blockchain companies and competitors, and outside, bad actors or hackers trying to take down the EOS network. And so, if we can help, through a worker proposal, help a lot of the block producers to really make sure we can secure them, that would be just pretty amazing. So, worker proposal is something I've been looking at for a long time. I've been, following Eves, who's been absolutely amazing. He's a great guy from EOS Nation, and he's just amazing guy. Mighty, all these guys have been fantastic, and just really watching how things are developing there. And also arbitration is quite, interesting topic as well. The thing about decentralization is great. However, the arbitration is something that really needs to be sorted out, really pretty quickly. And as it's decentralized, there's so many different schools of thought. And, obviously the more people that you get involved in the situation, is more bureaucracy and red tape that you have. But I really, really hope that we can really get a really nice, set of rules that come through to really handle arbitration and things like WPS. But very exciting times for EOS, especially. I know that I think the one company hit 1 million transactions on block producer. That was pretty exciting. But I know that it's definitely going to be the blockchain of choice for organizations moving forward, especially with the amount of technical expertise and community. The strength of the community is absolutely fantastic in EOS. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that strength of the community is such a benefit that sometimes is overlooked. And when you look at venture capitalists and they look at these teams that are coming in and asking for funding, they a lot of times are really team focused. They're focused on who these people are, how they interact together, and they're not as worried about the idea or how polished the idea is at that point. A lot of times they're betting on the team. I know that Chris Sacca was famous for betting on teams or communities.
Yes.
He would, instead of doing your standard venture capital, interrogation, basically, he would invite them up to a cabin up in Tahoe, keep them there for the weekend, hang out in the hot tub, and just BS with them and get to know who the people actually were. And then, he's one of the most successful angel investors of all time. So an interesting way to look at it, or like a heuristic to look at
Yeah.
EOS and the community, is part of the reason this is going to succeed or has a good chance of succeeding is because of the community or the team. It's solid. It's something that, you know, I went deep into the part of, and I see all these workings, and
Uh,
it's like, okay, this is big time, you know.
totally agree with that, and I think that's one of the things, you know, I looked at, you know, you've seen Bitcoin obviously trying to do sort of things out with Lightning Network, and Ethereum trying to sort themselves out with Casper, but with EOS, you know, it's been around since, if you think about it, we've had BitShares and Steemit around since August 2016. I mean, this is tried and tested technology. It's robust. It does its job. But the fact, I mean, I've traveled, you know, quite extensively to Asia, Europe, basically working with the EOS community. And these, I mean, there's such a great bunch of people involved in that, you know, and it's just been pretty amazing to really interface with people that actually know what they're talking about and are great people to hang around with. So, you know, we went to like Beyond Blocks, and that was awesome, and that was in Korea, and then we flew out to Shanghai. All of us flew out to Shanghai, and you know, also meeting some of the other DApps that are out there as well. So, you know, making some really good friends, and some amazing people out there. So it's been absolutely fantastic, you know, and so one of the things that I found is really, I mean, the block producers really are, you know, they obviously have a vested interest to truly make this work. And so community is such an important aspect. And this is something I haven't found in any other blockchain platform in regards to the strength of community that is stronger than EOS. And I think this is what's going to make a massive difference for us moving forward, because a lot of times, like you mentioned, you know, people take a very much a, you know, a top down approach and say, okay, right, what are you trying to do? Great, you're trying to make a blockchain. But if we take a bottom up approach and say, okay, right, who's actually going to be invested into this blockchain and with their ideas and coming up with fixes and changes? And that's what I really love, because you have Moore's law where, you know, computers are meant to, you know, double in power, or, you know, every couple of, I think it was down to 18 months now, but computers are meant to double in power all the time. But if we take some of these concepts and realize the power of a network effect where more and more people are getting involved in this blockchain environment, the amount of fixes that are being introduced into the application, you know, in a robust way is absolutely amazing. And I do believe that it's a very short period of time before we are really making some serious inroads to really hit what EOS had planned in, you know, some of their dawn releases, like interchain and inter-blockchain connectivity, IPFS. These are some amazing innovations that will be coming through, and it definitely will be led by the community as opposed to just, you know, block one of their guys. So that's going to be really interesting to see that happen.
Yeah, that inter-blockchain communication is one of the really big, interesting concepts that's coming up soon as well. And like you said, this, especially with this inter-blockchain and other EOS sister chains and all these dApps and block producers working together, it gives this real feeling of anti-fragile. Like as little parts break and they're replaced, it gets stronger over time, especially with it being so decentralized. I know that people talk about Bitcoin being anti-fragile as it's attacked and it survives, it somehow gets stronger and the code's improved. But this seems EOS seems maybe a better example because it is so agile as things change, it can move so quickly.
No, absolutely. And I think, you know, I think what I do love, I think what with EOS, we just need to realize, I think once we, you know, as there's so much, as it's obviously it's a consensus built system, it's about the voting mechanism, how many people are involved in creating a change and what have you. And obviously this can, yes, it can slow development if you've got a lot of heads involved in a feature or a new version or a release. But one thing I do find out with when you've got so much people working on the application, the amount of ideas that are coming through are so, you know, are just amazing. And I think, you know, in order for EOS to be, in essence, the sorry, using inverted commas again, but the Microsoft or the IBM of the blockchain, it's going to be really important that we have the ability to interface with so many different applications. And you have blockchains like WAN chain that obviously are trying to do inter-blockchain connectivity and things like that, and are doing that already. And once EOS is able to do this, our ability to, you know, transact with Ethereum or Bitcoin just opens up the whole market extensively. But, you know, I think one of the main issues that we've had in EOS is with the fact that we've raised so much funding has been raised for it, which obviously the largest ICO of all time and Logos one of all time. it's put EOS under such scrutiny. So unfortunately, there's a lot of haters out there that are always talking about where's EOS? Is it stable? Yeah. Is there issues with it? But we're already hitting the highest transactions on any blockchain right now. It's getting more and more robust every day. So it's exciting times. Definitely exciting times for EOS holders as well, token holders.
Yeah, and speaking of that money that Block One raised, and shout out to Rob Finch from Cypherglass. I saw his video the other day where he dug into this and was talking about it.
Yes.
They have they're just bought a giant a giant workspace in Virginia, wherever they're located. They're right near Virginia Tech, and they're building a giant workspace there, and they're going to start implementing blockchain classes into Virginia Tech, which is a great technical university.
Great.
They're going to basically be pulling some of the best talent. They're going to try to make that one of the centers of the blockchain world, pull some of the best talent in the world straight out of college into Block One there, and so they're building kind of this infrastructure for the long term. They're starting to build, which is cool to see that money, how they're deciding to put it into action.
Yeah, it needs to be done. I think, because there's been a push from the community to try and get stuff sorted out, but it'd be very, it's extremely important for Block One to really start pushing from their range, showing some level of direction, strategy in regards to how EOS is going to be developing. And I think that's great. It's funny enough because we've got a US community manager, Greg Leffel, who's been absolutely fantastic for us, really, really involved in the EOS community. And he lives in Virginia, Plattsburgh. So he's right in EOS land, as we say. And he's got his ear to the ground. And, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because the biggest issue that we've got with blockchain, like with any technology, is customer adoption. We need to get to a place where I always say that the best tech that's out there is a tech that you don't know about. You're so used to sat nav on your phone working, you don't think about technology around it, with 24 satellites around the world that are connected together to create triangulation to work out where you are. You just see the tech and it just works and does its job. You look at Skyscanner for booking flights, or you look at Uber for picking up. There's so much tech involved, but the interface that you have is so easy to use. And this is what we have to sort out. And this is why it's so very important that we get amazing dApps that are allowing traditional fiat users to jump onto the platform and start using the blockchain, the EOS blockchain, for what it's worth, without even knowing they're using it. And that's what's going to be the difference. And that's where we're going to get the mass customer adoption, because the system will be able to scale for transactions. Obviously not the same levels as a traditional database in regards to the number of milliseconds to do transaction, but for transactional use, daily use, it's going to be more than sufficient for some of the biggest companies to be using it. So it's going to be amazing. And if we get that right, then things will start to change. Because if you ever think about it, we've got less than 1 million, I think is a mess. I'm not getting this right, but there's a very small amount of, like, not just EOS token holders, but Ethereum token holders. And if you compare it to the rest of the world, blockchain transactions account for less than 0.01 of all transactions.
Wow.
So we've got quite a way to go in regards to start stepping into traditional databases, and start step on the toes of MongoDB, Hadoop, and SQL and Postgres databases when we get to that level. So we're a little bit away, but obviously our technology is different to traditional database. So, but it is a really exciting time, definitely.
Yeah, and it'll be kind of one dApp at a time, one good dApp at a time. We'll kind of push the movement forward. And shout out to Eva Coop, who I talked to lately, because they are trying to do exactly what you said. They are trying to make the blockchain basically behind a screen, or behind a curtain, where there's a fiat, just your standard fiat, and people are going to use it like they use Uber. That's the thought.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
they won't even care that it's blockchain. And I think that you're right there, where we got to make it seamless before it starts getting used. And so that's kind of the next step. Yeah,
certainly. And it's something that, always comes to mind when I'm always thinking about transactions, payment. If we can get the payment rail sorted out, make it as easy to as possible to get involved and start building applications on it, it's going to make a massive difference. And there's some great guys out there that are really making some changes in regards to try and make the whole idea of creating an EOS wallet easier to use, and account creation, all types of things. So there's amazing things happening at the moment, definitely in that space.
Yeah. What's your favorite wallet? Do you have a favorite?
I've got to be careful here.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
on the spot there, didn't I?
There's a couple. There's a couple of things. Personally, I'm looking at now because I've actually got 3 or 4 wallets at the moment that I'm currently using and just demoing. So I would. This is a good one. You put me in the spot here.
That's one of those questions I should tell people before I bring them on.
I know most of the developers personally,
Yeah.
so he's got to be careful. I might have to not answer that question. But I think for me, at the end of the day, I've seen some nice UI looking things. So Meet One's pretty cool. They've got a pretty cool wallet, Meet One, from what I saw there. So shout out to Dimitri and his guys. So their wallet's pretty cool in terms of the user interface. They've already managed to port it onto the Apple iPhone and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But there's so many other good wallets as well out there. So
yeah, I know it takes a long time to get caught up. It's like you kind of just use one and you're like, okay, it works fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
I've used a lot of wallets, and actually there's a bunch of great stuff out there. It's not too big a difference as long as you get one from like a reputable BP or something. Don't just use one off the internet.
No, absolutely. You just end up losing all your cash if you're not careful. So no, absolutely. I mean, one of the guys, I've been, one of my friends and personal friends, Nathan James, is awesome. So I love what he's been doing with his stuff. And he's almost become the Stripe of EOS. And so definitely Mr. Nathan James, he's awesome in what he's doing. He's a great guy as well, and he's passionate about the tech that he's doing, and his tech works. He does the job. So it's nice to see how he's also working with other dApps as well to try and get that integration coming together. So definitely he's great with what he's doing and stuff.
Yeah, and I like the UX. I liked the UX on the EOS toolkit from GenerEOS. It's that's a fun one. I liked how all the dApp, like I use Scatter to kind of give permissions to EOS toolkit, and then went into the toolkit, and then the EOS toolkit shows all the dApps that you can use, and then it's like you just click on the dApps and you're like in them, and there's a lot of steps that are just removed, which was kind of fun for me to just be able to click into a dApp like I'm on my phone or something. So
yeah, no, absolutely, and that's really, really great because I was chatting to Nathan before, and he was like, what he's been trying to resolve with Scatter and trying to get to a place where it's just almost seamless. Try and remove as much steps as we possibly can, because really, in the day, we need to get to a place where the best applications that I've seen, and I'm coming from a managed services provider environment, so I'm used to software as a service. And with custom onboarding, if you've got more than 7 steps involved in trying to get a customer from A to Z, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And we need to get to a place where we have ability to onboard a customer in, say, 3-4 steps. And obviously, as we get, ID type of ID systems like, identification management, identity management coming through, which makes it easier to sign up because the KYC was already done. That's going to take a couple of steps out, and that will make things even more easier to onboard a customer. And that's where we need to get to. So, I think what we need to see coming through in regards to dApp environments are, the ability to onboard as easy as possible. And that's what we want. One of the things that we want to do in Uncloak, make it super simple. Users won't even know they're using a blockchain, but it's there. So.
What's like a really popular dApp? Let's say, a standard application. Let's say something like Yelp. What's the onboarding process look like? You said 7's too much. What would something like Yelp be? How easy is it?
So Yelp really is, something like Yelp would be, first name, last name, email address. Even that would have an API to connect to LinkedIn, Google, ID. So the fact of the matter is that the way that these guys do it, first thing, they sign you up or verify you once immediately with either Google or LinkedIn, and to verify you that way, or email verification with a captcha. Then after that, once you're brought back to the site again, you've verified it, the next step then is what do you want, which you choose your service, and then credit card. So that's literally 4 steps. And that's where we need to get to. So currently we have to create an EOS, we have to create a wallet. You know, you have to make sure the account name is unique enough, and that can be difficult to get sorted out. And it's just, you know, that stuff needs to be hidden, because that is deterring people from, you know, jumping onto an application and getting going really in a day. So, you know, if we get down to, you know, 4 steps, we'd be good.
I guess that's where Scatter kind of comes in, where it's that almost like that API of log in with LinkedIn or Google. It's, you know, if you've already gone through those steps and you have a Scatter, which is hard to do. I mean, for layman, then yeah. So okay, that makes sense. You talked about ID management there for a second. What do you see on the horizon for that, and some solutions? And there's the idea of doing KYC and AML in the you know, on the front end, and getting your ID kind of black boxed. Is there any other solutions aside from that you see coming?
Not much really. I mean, the issue that we've got at the moment is that, you know, currently there's probably potentially, I could probably name 15 to 20 KYC providers, AML providers. So the issue that you've got here, we just need to get to a place whereby, you know, what is actually currently on the blockchain. So, you know, looking at companies like Selfkey, KYC Chain, or Heroku, Jumios, we need to get to a place where we have almost a standard down to say 2 or 3 applications. So I do believe that a lot of the applications, the KYC app providers, will fall by the wayside. Then it'll be down to like 2 or 3 well-known ones that will be cross-platform. Because that's the issue, you know, if it works in EOS, it doesn't mean it's going to work on Ethereum or Bitcoin, and that's where we have a massive issue at the moment. So, so in regards to identity management, you know, every platform can have its own form of identity management, and that could definitely be built into EOS. However, it's just we need to make sure we're working with existing technology, so we can just retrofit what we've already doing, which is KYC information, and jumping straight onto that. So what we've seen happen now is there's been quite a few changes in banking regulation. So with changes in banking regulation, now there is ability for you to potentially pull personal or PII data, personal identifiable information from your bank, and have access to that information. So you might start to see companies that are coming along like Monza, whereby, you know, they allow you to set up account very, very quickly, and these type of companies will be starting to make their inroads into the blockchain world, because they already have applications that have an API that talks to your bank, and obviously already verified, and away you go. And Apple ID, if Apple actually get themselves sorted out, you know, we might see some biometric support coming through from Apple ID, which will really mean that they're going to get some inroads into the blockchain, and that will be really interesting. So I think things like the fact that we're starting to see exchanges coming through like Bakkt in the US, which is pretty cool. That will obviously already have its own form of identity management. So no, I think I'm not as necessarily concerned too much about KYC. I know that the ID applications will start to come through, but we need to standardize on say 2 or 3 applications, and people can just choose one of the 2 or 3 applications that are out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've been starting to get the feeling that the identity solution from EOS and Dan has to do with the Apple biometrics verification. Is that, I mean, do you have any ideas on that? What Dan's solution may be?
I've got to admit, I haven't looked too much into that at the moment. I'd like to see how that works. You know, coming from a cybersecurity background and cybersecurity background itself, you know, the fact of the matter is that we need to get to a place where we have very, you know, easy to use 2-factor authentication or 2 to 3-factor authentication, something that's very, very easy to jump on board with. So the fact that you know, the most widely used applications are on a mobile phone and not your desktop, it will make sense for an Android or an Apple to come along with a very nice, you know, biometric based application for you to be able to get access to any applications on a blockchain. It'll make sense. But the issue is, I don't know how long it's going to take Apple to come on board, because obviously once they come on board, it shows they've got support for the blockchain. What's that going to mean to the shareholders who are already upset about the crypto coin market already? it's more of a political issue as opposed to a technical one.
Oh, I hadn't really thought of that. I guess Apple's got a PR situation on their hands there.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you've got companies out there, unfortunately, that have said, and we never, blockchain is a waste of time, and fake coins and all these other, other terms, worse terms than that. And for them to turn 180 degrees in the other direction and say, yes, we're using blockchain, unfortunately, it will come with a certain number of connotations. So we probably need a mid-size organization that is very well known, that is robust and particularly gung-ho enough to go down that route and say, okay, we want to be the early adopters of biometrics on the blockchain, and then hopefully open the market up. A company like Coinbase really should be doing this. So Coinbase really needs to get into potentially get into the KYC market. They're managing a large number of fiat accounts already. They've got $32 billion under management. It'll make sense for a Coinbase type application to come on board and say we offer KYC services for any of the number of blockchains that they could potentially be working with. So that's really definitely Coinbase could be the type of company that should do something like that.
All right, Coinbase, you heard it here first. Teo from Uncloak is putting you guys on blast. Let's do it.
I need to put a disclaimer in this, Brandon.
This is not financial advice. And
thanks very much. Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh.
Yeah, man. Well, from a security background, how secure is biometrics as far as if people use? I saw I think the Lynx wallet, and I only watched a demo, so I'm not real familiar with this wallet, but basically they went and they transferred EOS, and then it did like a facial recognition, validated the transfer and sent it on. How secure is that from a cybersecurity standpoint?
Well, yeah, I mean, funny enough, we've taken a number of projects on where we've been working with a number of exchanges that want to bring out their own wallet. So obviously to compete with the likes of Nano, Ledger, and Trezor and stuff like that. As with any application, and this is how John McAfee got himself in hot water, because he said he had an unbreakable wallet, and then someone managed to hack into it within a period of 2 weeks or something like that. But really, in the day, the bottom line is anything that's designed by a human has a flaw in it. There's no going away by it. Biometrics can be hacked as well to a degree. I mean, the bottom line is how is a ROM, which is obviously the read-only memory that's built into that chip. Can it be altered? That's where the issues are. So really more it's at a hardware level as opposed to, someone taking advantage of without opening a device. It's very hard to break into a device. So biometric devices are pretty robust right now, but if you can jump onto the ROM and start altering it, there are definitely some things you can do. Like we found, like for example, one of the wallets that we worked with, we managed to make changes to the USB driver. So from the wallet that you connect to your USB driver that connects to your machine, we're able to intercept information between your wallet and then basically do what's known as a man in the middle of attack, which is basically like listening to the packets that are going backwards and forwards from the wallet to the computer, which is unencrypted. So we can actually make changes to the text. And so no device is 100%. I think we definitely need to have a level of two-factor where we do biometrics coupled with a password or secret that we know, and that will give us a high level of security. So even if biometrics, for example, one of the things that I wanted to do, unfortunately I didn't come out with the video quickly enough, was take a picture of, or if you get a mobile phone and you place it in your hand, and if you use a thumbprint in it, the thumbprint's obviously still there. So you can actually if you get a high enough quality camera, you can take a picture of it, convert it to ultraviolet infrared, then you can see the fingerprint, and you can print it out on a 3D printer, and then place that thumbprint back onto the device and open it and unlock it. So biometrics can be hacked. It has to be multiple factor for it to be extremely efficient. So usually a password that is unique to you, and something that changes all the time. So that will make sense for us to be really, really extremely robust.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And so the biometrics isn't necessarily something that may be remotely hacked, but you're saying the hardware could be hacked. I mean, basically someone would need to take your cell phone or do a man in the middle attack are kind of the two
Yeah.
ways.
So yeah, and absolutely. So I think what makes sense, and this is why I like what you said about for example, Apple potentially using their biometrics. I'd like to see how that works, because obviously they've got the largest number of subscribers on their mobile phone, so it'll make sense to find out what trial and errors have they been through, and whether or not we can just piggyback off the back of them. Because it'll make sense that if you look on the mobile phone now, even it uses, this is getting really probably pretty boring here, but it uses what's known as a TPM system, which is Trusted Protected Module. So it's very hard for you to make changes to that module or piece of hardware on there, because they know you've tampered with it, and so the information gets destroyed once you start tampering with it. So Apple are, a good couple of years ahead of any of the blockchain solutions that I've seen so far. So it will make more sense to be using an existing mobile provider that has a robust biometrics technology and working with that. So that would be interesting.
And will that TPM detect a man in the middle attack where you're taking the packets from the USBs, or will that attack?
The thing about that is that there doesn't, as it's got a built-in GPS and mobile, not GPS, as it's got a built-in SIM card, and it doesn't. The information that you send from a phone is already encrypted by the time it gets to the network over HTTPS or any form of mobile encryption that's currently available. So it's not like a nano ledger that you have the device in your hand. You plug the USB cable into your computer. You don't do it with an Apple phone. So with Apple phone, it's all the technology is built into that device itself, which is locked down. So it makes more sense to work with an existing company like that, potentially.
Yeah. How long have you been doing cybersecurity for?
Strange enough, I started officially or legally or not legally.
No,
I mean
illegally.
Illegally.
Off the record.
Off the record. I started I started computers when I was 9, so I used to write games on Commodore 64.
Yeah.
So anyone who's the age of 40 and above and going through midlife crisis, they will know what a Commodore 64 is. But then I got to around about the age of 14, 15, where I started to change, because hacking is actually a good word. Hacking means to take a device and get it to do something that it wasn't meant to do, wasn't designed to do. So I used to get my friends headphones and Walkmans back in the days, as a little tape machine, before these all the iPods, and used to change the volume so they could listen to Nirvana, Smells Like a Teen Spirit, on like volume 13 and stuff instead of volume 10. Nice. And ended up giving them tinnitus. So that was interesting. So really from the ages of 14, I really started to get into dial-up modems, trying to break into companies that way by dialing up and trying to guess passwords. And once you get into passwords, trying to see what data I can get. So at the age of 14, I'm 43 now. Then legally, I started getting paid around about the ages of 16, 17, when I started working for a couple of consultancy firms and doing bits and pieces where I was breaking in ethically on behalf of them into other companies. So my job was to break into insurance companies and banks on behalf of some of these big 4 consultancies, and that was pretty interesting. And it was good pocket money at the time.
Well, you know what? I think that, and you hear a lot of the cybersecurity experts who were tinkering as kids and hacking and not, nothing like malicious, but that's where I think that the real good cybersecurity experts are kind of born, because obviously you wanted to do that, and that was something that you were just interested in. And it also it's like this theory of having skin in the game, or some sort of, when there's something at stake, it takes a lot more than when there's nothing at stake. And it's the difference between, say, an economist who's learned all of these theories on how money flows, and a trader who knows viscerally how money flows and what's actually going to happen in the real world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely that theoretical versus a practical overview. So, it makes sense as well, because coming from being a black hat, obviously a malicious guy, to a white hat on the other side, you get to know what tricks and how what the actual psyche is of a black hat. To them it's a chess game. It's about how do I get into the system when everyone else said I can't, and that's hackers are around two things. That you got the lazy hackers and the I call it clever hackers. The lazy hackers are about denial of service attacks, taking your website down, and that's like really boring stuff. But the clever hackers are more about, okay, right, how do I get in? Is it through social engineering in terms of basically speaking to a member of staff and pretending to be the IT director to try and get the password out of them? Or is it, looking at their social media environment and seeing, how a company's doing? If a company's doing really well, then potentially they might be more secure than the company is going down, because when a company is going down or going under or not doing so well financially, one of the first things they do is spend less money on IT. So then you end up going for companies like that. So there's loads of stuff you can do, and that's what the smarter hackers are doing when it comes to hacking. And it's about perseverance. A lot of the black hat guys that are the more skilled ones, they literally could be sitting on a platform quietly for a couple of months before they decide to attack it, and that's quite a frightening thing at the end of the day. And that's what we want to help solve and break with Uncloak. So
Yeah, it's I actually got hacked recently, about 6 months ago or so, but it was a social engineering hack. They basically called Verizon a bunch of times and finally got a weak link on the phone who would reset my password, and then they basically did a SIM swap on my phone, and then all of a sudden my phone shut off and someone else had my phone activated, and so
yeah, that's happened a lot, funny enough. So one of our advisor companies, our TLDR, and there's a chap called Andre McGregor in the team he started the New York cyber force for the police department, which is pretty amazing. So for the FBI, and he's also the technical advisor for Mr. Robot.
Oh
TV
yeah, nice.
program as well.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah. So that's Andre McGregor. So he's on our team, which is great. One of our advisors, and he's literally every time I talk to him, he's always telling me about how T-Mobile, Verizon, and other mobile phone companies are out there are continually getting hacked on that particular hack that you're talking about, where people are nicking IMEI details and moving it to one phone to another phone and stuff. It's nightmare. It happens at all levels. So
yeah, they actually caught the dude. They caught him. He was in LA at the airport about to fly to Mexico. He had $5 million in crypto, and they
oh wow,
he was big news. There's a meme about him online now. But
oh, you're joking. Oh wow.
But yeah, they caught him. I was like, that doesn't happen that often, so it was kind of kind of interesting to see, like, oh, there's that guy. There he is.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to work out how. So from how was he able to draw money down? I mean, trying to work out how, what was his trick? Because
he was getting the phone, and then he was going to crypto exchange trading platforms,
right, okay,
Binance, Bittrex, and then with the phone you could, if there's not two-factor authentication set up,
like password recovery and stuff, and
recovery, and you could get in, transfer the funds out. So he didn't get any of my funds because I had two-factor and I had some extra layers, but
sure.
He apparently got $5 million worth of crypto.
Oh wow, that's a lot of SIM cards.
Yeah, so he was going to big crypto conferences like Crypto Invest and things like that. And,
you're joking.
And finding targets there. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
it's a messy world out there, And
safe.
this was different. The thing about hacking now is the whole game's changed. Before you had what's known as, so when I used to do what's known as forensic accounting. So my job was I worked with West Yorkshire Police and also with Grant Thornton, a very large accountancy firm. And the whole idea is to follow the money. Try and trace the money trail. Once you can trace the money trail, you can usually work out who done the fraudulent activity or what have you. But the way the internet is now, due to the actual ubiquity of it in terms of access from everywhere, your mobile phone, desktop, landline, notepad, desktop, there's so many different avenues for you to get access to the internet. And so, the war that we're fighting right now is a war of complete secrecy, where someone could hide anonymity, hide at home, hide in an internet cafe, behind a natted IP address, behind an ISP that's probably not doing very well and isn't doing its books properly, and literally just wreak havoc on someone else in a completely different time zone. I mean, there's no time in history that we've ever had this before. You know, you don't know your enemy anymore. So it's an
Yeah.
absolute nightmare.
And that's why teams like Uncloak are important. I mean, that's why what you guys are
Hey,
doing
nice
is,
segue.
yeah, is important. So, you know, on that note, now that we've got you all scared, let's hear why we need Teo. No, but honestly, it is. It's really important. So, why don't you give kind of a brief overview of how Uncloak is approaching cybersecurity?
Yeah, no, so absolutely. So, you know, my background, I've been running an award-winning IT company in the UK since 2001. And so it's a managed service provider, and we help companies such as Groupon get sorted out, Interserve, Scottish Widows, Adecco. These are the type of companies that we work with, and also those smaller companies. And we got to a place where every single time that we done a cybersecurity audit for a client, which is usually larger clients, by the next day that we produce a report, a new hack or vulnerability would pop out. This is either called a 0-day or a new hack will come out. And obviously it's like, hold on, we just charged a client a lot of money for work that we've done, and there's a new issue that's come up. Now it's great for us as consultants, but if you think of the smaller companies, and if take for example, in Europe alone, 96% of all companies are less than 250 members of staff. So they're all SME companies. And SME companies rule the world. So globally, there's over 80 to 85% of companies globally are less than 250 members of staff. So we got to a situation say, how do we help the smaller guys, the smaller companies that are saying, okay, right, we've got antivirus, but we know it's not enough. And if you think about antivirus, you know, it will take a virus to get into your network and that antivirus to work out, hold on, do I recognize this pattern so I can allow it to in or not? Unfortunately, it's, you know, there are over a million different permutations, that's the right word to use, of viruses that are coming out. So the way we thought, okay, right, we want to tackle something rather than look at viruses and stuff. That's not really our game. We leave it to the other companies that are out there. Our aim is to say, okay, right, can we become like a virtual cybersecurity consultant? So the way that we work, to take you for a journey, is that you as a company, you can sign up to our platform, or would be able to sign up to a platform. You can pay in fiat, or you can pay with our token, and before you know it, you're signed up, and then our system will go out and do a discovery of your whole network. Now, I'm not just talking about the computers in your office. It will look at your internet website. It will look at any cloud platforms. So if you're on Amazon, Azure, or Google, it will go off and search and build a discovery picture of your whole network. Once we've done that, it allows you to press a button and it will scan your system. And it will tell you all your vulnerabilities, where they are in terms of your if you've got bad passwords, if a machine isn't patched and up to date, if you're missing a hot fix, it will tell you all this information, and it will tell you in a very, very easy to use format. And the thing, like I said, the thing for us is that we're working with people that don't necessarily have a cybersecurity consultant employed full time. We are working with companies that don't have that knowledge. And so the aim of our system is that even if they can't fix that issue, they can press a button in the software and it will contact a channel partner globally that'll be able to either remotely jump on their system or come to site and resolve and fix that issue for them. And all of this is done within the ecosystem of Uncloak. And coupled with, we have a threat detection system that goes out into the dark web and public internet, looking for particular patterns and words. So for example, if, oftentimes before a vulnerability appears on someone's computer, it's discussed in the dark web or even in forum groups. So the aim of our system is to be able to alert people to say, funny enough, we know that you're running Windows 7. Someone's talking about this Windows 7 hack and it's been mentioned in 7 different forums. And we know you're not covered for it because we've scanned your system. So this is something that our system will do. And one of the areas of decentralization that we use, we also have a bug bounty environment. So this allows a client to get access to a repository of hackers that are around the world that don't have access to your system. So we've got to be very clear about that. They do not have access to your system, but they have the ability to get paid for finding new vulnerabilities. And this is great because we can run this directly on EOS without any third-party interaction as well, no form of moderation, because it will work on a consensus mechanism where you have someone who finds the issue and someone who checks that issue is actually correct, and then both parties get paid. And obviously the person that found the issue gets paid a larger part of the bounty. And all of this is done completely within EOS without any third-party interaction. And so the fact that we're using elements of the blockchain and bug bounty and the channel partners, we can reduce the overall cost, which then makes it even more attractive for the small businesses that are extremely cost sensitive. And all of this is Uncloak. So we try and we want to make it as simple as possible. So really, we want to hide all that tech under the hood and just make it easy as possible for the user to get access to it.
Wow, that's there's a little bit to unpack there, but that's quite an idea, man. I really like that. So kind of on the surface level, I'm seeing like this treating the disease as opposed to the symptom. So if
correct,
if your standard, if your McAfee antivirus, it's waiting until something gets into the computer and then screening it before it does something malicious. That's
absolutely,
that's kind of treating the symptom there. Where
yes,
Uncloak is building the kind of the wall around and making that more secure before the virus even gets in. Is the hope. So that's one part of it, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the aim for us is just is prevention is better than cure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, so and that's basically how we work. We're not an antivirus company. We are a company that we're completely preoccupied with telling you where the latest threats are coming from. So we are the weathermen. We don't want to tell you about the hole in your roof where the water can come in. We want to tell you about where the weather's coming from and where the rain's coming from. And if we can tell you beforehand, then you've got a fighting chance of resolving that issue. So the whole aim of Uncloak is to unveil and reveal and keep you one step ahead of a hacker that's potentially trying to break into systems. So take a real world example. In the UK, we were hit with the WannaCry. And a WannaCry was this massive issue. It hit 54% of all hospitals got hit with WannaCry. So anyone that was running Windows XP machines and certain versions of Windows that weren't patched, it was literally getting the data and making it complete garbage. And it was requiring you to pay in Bitcoin to get your data back. It was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Now, the fact of the matter, this information was leaked onto the dark web, and then someone had packaged it and sold it on, and then people were using it to make money on it. And the fact of the matter is, if our software was used, our AI would have picked up on this and told everyone who's got Windows 7 or Windows XP, patch your machine, there's something that's coming out right now. And that's one of the things that we could do. So that just gives you a real example of how Uncloak can be used. But the whole aim is make it as simple as possible. When a user comes to our website and starts to use our application, it will have nice, easy to use, GUI screen. Red is dangerous, green is good, and gray is, you need to check that out as well. So we'll make it very, very simple for them to understand, and then they can keep on top of it, rather than having to employ loads of cybersecurity consultants or any cybersecurity consultants, depending on the size of the business. And this saves a lot of money for these companies and makes more companies more secure overall. So that's Uncloak.
Very cool. And then the other part that I'd like to unpack or kind of put in my own words to see if I understand it is, so it sounds like you guys are basically coming up with a scaling model for cybersecurity advisors. So instead of having to go out and hire these one-off cybersecurity advisors, you guys are making the ultimate cybersecurity advisor, this one entity, and this one entity can be helped by the community through bug bounties. So it's got all kinds of bug bounties adding to this advisory role. And then this advisory role is automatically sent out to anyone who has a subscription. Is that?
Yeah. So the channel partners are, we have the bug bounty guys that are, ethical hackers and hackers that are sitting on a platform that are finding issues. And then another hacker on that platform will check that other person's work to make sure it is actually legitimate, and then they'll both get paid. That's a whole community by itself working together. But then we have the channel partners that are global guys that are vetted on our system, that are registered IT companies that want to work with us, that will say, funny enough, this is a way that I can make revenue, whereby not only have I referred your software to that client, because most IT companies don't sell cybersecurity, so not only are they able then to get into the cybersecurity market by sending this solution to their clients, they can also receive recurring income and also be able to fix issues that arise, because their engineers will be able to jump on, patch, and resolve issues. And the great thing about this, we use a smart contract. So So rather than you saying, okay, right, oh, funny enough, my website's got issues, and can someone fix it because I can't fix it myself? You press a button, and automatically part of your subscription will be sitting in a smart wallet, in a smart contract. Once that issue is resolved by that partner, the channel partner being the IT reseller or the engineer, then before they get paid, our system will rescan to see if the issue's been fixed. If that issue's been fixed, the funds are released to our channel partner, who then gets paid. And then obviously you know that the job's been done because the scans showed up as being clear. So this is a way that we use a smart contract. And all this, rather than having a moderator that's sitting in the middle and saying, let me check that that work's been done. Oh, and funny enough, can you please give me the money? Because sometimes as well, with the businesses, you'll find that they can be very slow when it comes to payment. So the channel partner, the IT reseller, be like, you know, look, I want to fix the issue for my customer, but these guys don't pay me on time. Be like, hold on. Well, funny enough, that money is held on the smart contract. Under lock, you do your job, you get paid, and that resolves a massive issue that you have, which is a massive inefficiency issue that you find in off blockchain at the moment.
Okay, and that explains the real valid use case for blockchain as far as this goes. I mean,
absolutely,
that's huge, a huge efficiency plus right there. So so Uncloak detects the problem. It sends a message. That problem isn't necessarily fixed, but it's saying, hey, you have this problem, and then they contact their IT guy to fix it, who can then get paid by Uncloak through the smart contract.
Correct. Absolutely.
Great. Okay. Wow. Killer idea, man. I love it. You guys are changing
you understand
the game.
it. I mean, one of the things you're saying, we want to hide the tech. We just don't want to make it hard for the users to understand. We just want to say, okay, right, we are a virtual cybersecurity consultant. That's what Uncloak is. You don't have to go out and find someone and pay them, $800 a day minimum. Come and talk to us. You can get a nice, cheap enough subscription, and away you go. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on in your systems every single day, if you wish.
That's great. That's fantastic. Cool. What's what's kind of on your guys' roadmap? How far along are you, and what's next?
So we've created a demo site at the moment, which is just showing a little bit of our vulnerability scanner that we built out. So we have a vulnerability scanner, which is actually, funny enough, catching vulnerabilities already for end users. So we've got just under 300 different companies that are actually using that application and have already shown an interest, and once we launch that, they want to jump onto the full application. So that's really exciting for us. So it's built into 3 areas. We've got the vulnerability scanner, which tells you where your weaknesses are. You've got the bug bounty element, which is obviously another part. And then we have the third part, which is the AI. So we've built out elements of the vulnerability scanner, but we still need to build out part of the AI, which, funny enough, we've got we understand methodology because we've been working with AI for a number of years now. So we have the AI piece and the bug bounty piece to build out as well. So, but yeah, you can absolutely test out the vulnerability scanner against your network, your website, and it will tell you where your issues are on your website, and just, then you can obviously go off and fix them. So that's interesting, and that's on demo.uncloak.io, which is currently available right now.
Cool. I'll link that demo.uncloak.io. I'll link that in the show notes. So if people want to demo it, is this something you see for just companies or individuals down the road, or what do you think?
Well, it's a mass market solution. So we are B2B, B2C. So the whole aim is that we want to make the price competitive enough if you are a one-man show. So if you're a one-man show, you have running a small business, we want you to be using our software. And that's how, we don't want to be in a situation where you have barrier to entry and, oh gosh, I need to have 10 seats or 20 people in my office before I can use it. We want to make sure that you can have antivirus and you can have Uncloak. And Uncloak will actually check your antivirus and make sure antivirus is up to date. So you want to make it accessible to everyone.
Cool. Yeah, man, that's cool. I like it. And it looks like I saw on your roadmap that the alpha would be releasing possibly in Q4 or the beginning of next year. How's that looking?
At the moment, we are pushing back, I would say potentially 6 months at the moment, because the aim was to really hit the ICO this year, but the market obviously has been dire. So we're kind of holding out. We're not stopping development. We're holding out at the moment on the ICO until next year. So we do believe in the second quarter that, towards the second quarter, third quarter of next year, the application will be ready to go. Would have done a lot of marketing by that time anyway, and hopefully with your help, and a lot of marketing in the background. And so we're definitely looking at next year launch, and obviously next year ICO, and it should be in the first quarter for next year.
Great. Do you have any, what other things do you have to kind of say to the EOS community, or anything we kind of glossed over here that you'd like to touch on before we wrap up?
Well, yeah, what's great, I mean, obviously Uncloak runs directly on EOS, which is quite amazing compared to any other blockchain application. So we can run the code directly in C on the actual blockchain itself. So it'll be a decentralized application running directly on EOS. So that's really, really cool for us, and we're excited about that. But no, one of the things that we're looking to do, we're hopefully looking to work with a number of block producers in regards to incubation. So that's really interesting. We've been really well supported from the community already on what we're doing. So we're really looking to continue to engage with the EOS community and truly get them on board. So we were recently voted as recently put into EOS Block One's featured app. So that was really nice for us, along with myself and Sean for Emanate. He's a great guy. Sean's a great guy. I'm sure I know you done a podcast on Emanate as well. So they're doing a lot as well. So, but no, we're super excited. In this last quarter, we're really looking to push the application and really get to the next level. And we're looking to jump to our website and see what we're doing, because we have a newsletter that's put together by our community management team. So that's pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, Sean from Emanate. Emanate's a great project for anyone who hasn't looked it up. It's they're bringing music, kind of decentralized music and collaboration to the blockchain. It's a really, really cool concept. So check that out. I actually talked to them maybe a week ago or so. Yeah, and as far as you guys, David Packham from EOS 42 said, you got to check out these guys. You got to check out Uncloak.
Yeah.
He said it's an awesome project. So, speaking of block producer support, they're speaking up for you and making sure people know you guys got something good.
Yeah, no, with that, they're great. So, David and his guys, I mean, we've been following them since the time they started. We've done a keynote at their event as well. So that was really great. So David's been brilliant, and very, very knowledgeable guy. They've got a great team. I know they're doing stuff with Chintai and a bunch of stuff at the moment. But we're looking to work closely with them. And we've had worked with HKey EOS as well. So they're based out in Hong Kong. We have one of the developers on our team, Jay Chung, who's an amazing developer. So it's fantastic. So we're looking to engage a lot more with a lot of the different block producers, and see if we can get some more support from them as well, because a lot of the block producers have access to obviously a large community themselves. So that's really interesting that if we can get on side with a lot of block producers, supports in a strong position. So one of my guys, obviously I mentioned before, Greg Leffel, is the person that's going to be working very closely with block producers to really get us engaged further with them. But we would love people to reach out to us about potential investment opportunities we have, that we're looking to really engage and get move the development aggressively forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard a cool story, and let's see if you want to tell it or not, but how you got into Bitcoin. That's kind of an interesting story, or how you discovered Bitcoin. Why don't you tell people that?
It's funny. I was working for a company. There were a large television company in the UK, and what happened is that we had warned them and said, look, get antivirus in your machines, because they didn't even have any antivirus. And these guys it's a multi-million-pound company. It's just ridiculous. And they didn't have any antivirus in their machines. And next minute, they got hit, and someone had managed to encrypt with a piece of ransomware, so a piece of software that obviously changes all the files that you have, so you can't read them anymore. Had managed to change all around about 40 terabytes. Now, 40 terabytes is a lot of data. So all the TV programs were unreadable. And they're trying to do a news broadcast. They couldn't do it because all the information was encrypted. So they called us up and said, look, Tile, really apologize, but the antivirus stuff we were meant to put on our machines, we didn't do it. And now we've been hit hard. And we were like, we told you about this, but anyway. So next thing, we went into a folder where the files had been changed, and in the folder there was a website link. We clicked on a website link, and it took us to a page where it said, if you pay us in Bitcoin, we will basically be able to give you your files back. And I was like, oh, wow, what is this Bitcoin stuff about? I knew a little bit about the blockchain from like Dogecoin years ago and stuff like that. I was like, what's this about? But I was like, this is crazy. And this Bitcoin was like super cheap at that time. It must have been $150. And I remember like saying, okay, look, we've got to pay Bitcoin to get the files back. I mean, not paying Bitcoin, I bought a couple more as well. And then literally I forgot about it since after we paid for it, I forgot about it. And then literally last year, October, just before October, I started to really get heavily back into the whole blockchain space in terms from investment perspective, not from a development, but from investment. And I thought, hold on, I'm sure I had some coins somewhere. And then I'd had some coins with a company called Coin Corner. So this is pre-Coinbase, and they were based out in Ireland. And logged into the account and saw that I had some Bitcoins in there, and it was a very happy day. Ended up spending it on the development though, but
yeah.
It was a very happy day for how long it lasted. And that was my foray into crypto. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a killer story, man. That's one of my favorites. You hear a ton of these origin stories, but that's a great one. Just with the ransomware too. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you use the dark side to get to the good side to make some money. Exactly. The accidental hero, Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, great stuff.
Cool. Well, I will be telling people about Uncloak. I think it's a killer project, and where is the best place for people to find you if they want to contact you guys?
Ideally, if you're interested in investing and from a private sale perspective, happy to send me an email to me directly. So Tayo, Tango Alpha Yankee Oscar, to Tayo@uncloak.io if you're interested in investing. If you want to, get in contact with our community, we have Telegram. So check out Uncloak IO, which is in Telegram. We've got a very strong Twitter base as well. So Uncloak IO there as well. And obviously our website, so you just go straight to our website, uncloak.io. So uncloak.io. Everything's there. All the social media links are there as well. And just reach out. We're more than happy to chat to you about any scenarios, issues, comments, questions. Just lay it on. We're happy to deal with them.
Cool. And I'll put those links into the show notes for anyone who wants to find them. I will be at the EOS Hackathon in San Francisco coming up right in the beginning of November. I'm pumped. Oh, wow. I get to hang out with all the block producers again and developers. Absolutely. So that'll be freaking cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. Day after the San Francisco Hackathon on Monday, there's the Scaling Blockchain Conference. A bunch of the block producers will be there talking, and you can meet them. I'll be the MC at that. So, if you're listening to the EOS podcast and you're coming to the hackathon, come to the Scaling Blockchain event. I'll put a link for that into the show notes as well. And, you'll see that down there. So, so there it is. That's the EOS podcast, man. It was fantastic talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on. You're a wealth of knowledge. And I will definitely be following up with you guys in the future as you guys keep ramping up.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Definitely appreciate the hospitality and all the best with your show. And but it's been a great time, Absolutely great time.
Money is not the prime asset in life. Time is, and your time is just a